Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down a new severe weather event that'll be on the horizon in the United States that could bring all modes of severe weather to parts of the United States. We'll also be breaking down the tropics, as there is a new area of development that'll be heading toward the Caribbean Sea, perhaps even the Lesser Antilles, that could pose a threat as a hurricane here pretty soon. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast. But let's first begin with what's happening across the United States today, and we'll first begin with the southern plains. And this is an area that hasn't really seen a whole lot recently, but notice the spin down here. This is actually in North Texas right now. There is a low pressure system that is spinning, and this is in the upper levels, but it is going to bring some showers and perhaps some storms today. In addition to that, there could be some severe weather through the early evening hours, so it's pretty interesting setup there. Again, this is all from an upper level disturbance that's actually been sitting over near the Gulf Coast for the past couple days, but it has moved as far west as areas like North Texas, so some beneficial showers and storms here, as it has been very dry there, and DFW has had a lot of 100-degree days this summer, so obviously they do need some relief there. A little bit more convection in the Gulf of Mexico, but again, nothing really too crazy there. Back over in the Midwest, and as well as back through the Great Lakes region, there are a couple of showers, maybe an isolated rumble of thunder, but nothing too crazy there as of right now. A high pressure system is dominating this entire region with a ridge that is more based at the surface, so that's helping to basically keep a lot of areas dry and as well as much warmer, and obviously a lot of you are looking forward to fall, and we're not really there yet. Back over on the west coast of the United States, this is a bit more of interesting activity. We do have a low pressure system that is sitting back over in parts of California. Over the next few days, this will be moving over the Rocky Mountains and toward the Midwest, and this could pose a threat for some severe weather as we head into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, perhaps even Thursday of this week. So a multi-day severe weather event is ahead with this. And you might not know this, but actually September is one of the least active months when it does come to severe weather. We average about 70 tornadoes every September. Obviously December is about half of that, but even then it's actually way less than we have during the summer. So overall severe weather is starting to go down a little bit, but it will start to go back up a lot more as we get closer to the late September time frame, and as well as into October, when our second severe weather season here begins across parts of the Great Plains as well as other parts of the United States. And one thing that's not slowing down is the Atlantic Ocean tropics. Hurricane season peaks in a few days, and it is really beginning to ramp up, and things are going to definitely get a bit more concerning as we go into the later half of this weekend as well as into next week. So as of right now, we do have two tropical storms, Gert and Katia, both of which are staying well away from the United States. They're moving off to the north, not really expected to intensify a whole lot, so overall not very concerning there. What is way more concerning is this system right here. This area of development has a 90% chance of developing over the next 5 days into either a tropical storm. It could even get to a hurricane in the next 5 days. This thing's going to intensify pretty quickly. As of right now, it is likely to go toward the Lesser Antilles, but notice the cone of uncertainty. It is pretty large here, so overall the development area is basically ranging from the northeast Caribbean Sea, so really far near the Lesser Antilles, all the way back just north of Puerto Rico. Now, what we have to watch for very closely out of this is the track. Where will this exactly go? Because if this gets anywhere near the United States, it very well could pose some pretty large impacts, but if it stays well out to sea, which is entirely possible, this could end up being a fish storm. If that happens, it'll basically go turn off to the sea, and we wouldn't see any impacts in the United States. Now let's look at the European model over the next several days and where this exactly takes this area of development, because again, this will definitely be a concerning storm if it gets near the Lesser Antilles. And again, this is a computer model, so things are definitely subject to change based off what I say here, but notice by Wednesday this will start to intensify close to a tropical storm. So that's what the European model thinks. It's going to intensify pretty quickly. Once we get closer to Thursday and to Friday, notice how close this is getting to the Lesser Antilles. By Saturday into Sunday, the European model takes it just a hair to the north of the Lesser Antilles, which would mean the greatest impacts would just stay off to their north and basically out to sea at that point. But there will at least be some showers, some storms near there, maybe a little bit of flooding, rains, and as well as storm surge if it does stay this far off to the north. But notice how strong this is by Saturday into Sunday. 964 millibars. That's not far off from what Idalia was about 24 hours prior to landfall. So this is a pretty intense cyclone by Sunday. But notice as we go into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the following week, so this is around September 13th, this thing barely moves. It's going to be stationary, so this could easily be a catastrophic hurricane if it does get closer to Puerto Rico and perhaps some other areas like Haiti. This is a possibility, obviously, that it could be further to the south, but also it could just be a fish storm that stays off to the north. But this gives me some throwbacks here to what we saw with Hurricane Dorian a few years ago, where it took a very stationary path over the Bahamas and then it eventually went out to sea. This kind of gives me those vibes right now with how this is currently looking, at least on the European model. But again, things could easily change over the next several days, so stay tuned. We will keep you posted with the latest. There's no reason to panic by any means right now. There are going to be a lot of things that change, and we'll have a more refined forecast as we do get closer to that starting to develop, at least into a tropical storm or hurricane. Now let's talk more about what's happening closer to home here across the United States, and we're going to look at the jet stream, because this is what controls the weather patterns here across the United States. And notice really today we have a low pressure system that's back over in parts of Nevada as well as California that's been bringing some showers and storms over there, with even some flooding near Las Vegas. You may have seen the videos. It's crazy over there how much flooding there's been in Las Vegas. Back over to the east, we do have a high pressure system in the upper levels that's back over in the southeast United States, so that's sitting there again, bringing that relentless heat that's been ongoing all summer long. Once we go into Tuesday, notice this low pressure system will eject over the Rocky Mountains, and that'll start to move off to the east northeast. This will head towards areas like the Midwest, and this will pose that threat for severe weather once we head more into Wednesday and perhaps even Thursday. And notice another trough ejection here. There'll basically be two, and both of which could definitely produce some severe weather with moderate overall upper level winds. They're not overly strong here, but they will be strong enough for at least some isolated to scattered severe weather. Once we go into Friday into Saturday, really nothing whole lot happens, and then once we go into next week, things become way more uncertain, but we'll be watching the pattern very closely as we go into the weekend. But for right now, things do get a lot calmer, it looks like, going into the weekend. Overall temperatures here across the United States, it's going to be very hot, obviously, across a large chunk of the country. Notice Monday to Tuesday of this week, we have record-breaking temperature potential across parts of the Midwest. By Wednesday into Thursday, that trough will kick in some colder air out of the north. Those northerly winds will usher in some cooler weather from Canada. Once we go into Thursday into Friday, warm weather returns, and by next week, maybe some cool down coming here as we get closer to fall. But again, a lot of uncertainty does remain as we go into next week. And your Labor Day high temperatures look a little bit like this. Hot. That's the easiest way to put it. It's going to be very hot across the United States, especially across the Great Plains, parts of the southern plains like Wichita Falls, Texas, around 105 degrees for tomorrow. Chicago, 92. Back over near Sioux Falls, 98 degrees. So again, very hot for tomorrow. And overall, the threat of severe weather across the United States for the next several days will be overall isolated, but there's still a lot to watch for, because as of right now, heading into Labor Day, we do have a couple areas to watch for, one of which will be back down near Arkansas for some sporadic damaging winds, hail. Back over in parts of the northern plains, primarily watching for, again, damaging winds, maybe some sporadic hail. Going into Tuesday, this is Tossing Trampolines on Tacos Tuesday, we begin to watch a threat that will start to evolve in the Midwest, but it will become really more severe, I'd say, by Wednesday night into Thursday. That's when I think the better chance of severe weather is. Now, the Storm Prediction Center has yet to issue a threat for either of those days, but they have mentioned that there will be a chance for at least a slight risk of severe weather as we head into Wednesday night. Again, that's a bit more contingent on what we see over the next 24 to 48 hours with this low pressure system, but again, it is entirely possible because the setup's there. The dew points will be pretty high, so we'll have a lot of buoyancy Tuesday and Wednesday. Notice the dew points in the Chicago area in the low 70s, so very humid there. This will allow for a lot of buoyancy and again an increased risk for severe weather with that. Low level jet will be strong enough as well to produce maybe an isolated tornado or two. Notice the low level jet here around 20, 30, maybe 40 knots. It'll be strong enough again for maybe an isolated tornado or two. And then overall, the upper level winds, not overly impressive with this system, but they'll be strong enough again for maybe an isolated severe weather event, maybe scattered at best, but I don't think there will be a severe weather outbreak here at this point. In terms of timing right now, it's pretty early to say when the exact timing will be on any severe weather, but there will likely be some storms during the morning hours on Wednesday. This could allow for maybe some isolated damaging winds. Through the afternoon hours, more storms across the Great Lakes. This is the area that I'd be more concerned about for damaging winds. I don't expect a huge tornado risk out of this, maybe a brief tornado or two, but I don't think we'll see anything too crazy, at least as of right now. By Wednesday night into Thursday morning, storms continue to march to the east. Notice this low pressure system, it's centered over parts of northern Michigan. By that point, any severe weather would be back over in the northeast of the United States. So overall, not much more concern for those in the Midwest by then. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.